pregnancies. 20 women are now a part of the case, with some claiming they were told to wait until they were closer to death before being allowed to terminate their pregnancies. Justices did not indicate when they plan to rule, but attorneys expect a decision by June. More challenges to Texas legislation. Federal judges questioning the state's law requiring booksellers to rate the explicitness of material sold to schools, specifically looking into the bill's definition of sexual content, calling the definitions too vague. Booksellers in Houston and Austin, as well as multiple publishing groups, arguing the law is too restrictive and cost prohibitive. State lawmakers say the law is meant to protect parents' rights to decide what books a child is allowed to read in a school's library. No word on when a ruling is expected. A sixth set of hostages is scheduled to be freed by Hamas on Wednesday, according to two sources close to the matter. This will be the second release during the extension of the truce between the militant group and the Israeli military during the halt in military action between Israel and Hamas. Some much-needed supplies are being brought into Gaza, but this relative calm in the Gaza region may not last much longer. CIA Director William Burns is in Qatar for hostage talks, and according to sources familiar with the situation, Burns is pushing for a larger agreement that would include negotiations for the release of men and soldiers. U.S. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer delivering an emblazoned speech on the Senate floor Wednesday, calling on lawmakers to fight back against a historic rise in anti-Semitism, particularly on college campuses. Jen Sullivan has more.
In an impassioned speech Wednesday, Senator Majority Leader Chuck Schumer pushing to stop Jewish hate.
The rise of anti-Semitism is a crisis, a five-alarm fire that must be extinguished.
For more than 40 minutes, the New York senator, who is Jewish, called for change.
I implore every person, every community, every institution to stand with Jewish Americans, not to ignore it.
Other leaders showing support for Schumer's call to action.
I share his disgust at the alarming rise of anti-Semitism.
In the month after Hamas attacked Israel on October 7th, the Anti-Defamation League says anti-Semitic incidents in the U.S. are up 316% compared to that period last year. It's particularly concerning on college campuses, where the ADL says 73% of Jewish college students have experienced or seen anti-Semitism since the beginning of the school year. On Tuesday, a group of Jewish students, alumni, and faculty filed a lawsuit against the University of California at Berkeley, claiming the school failed to protect Jewish people from discrimination on campus.
When you don't enforce policy in every situation, only certain situations, that to me is discrimination.
UC Berkeley saying the university has long been committed to confronting anti-Semitism. The Department of Education is investigating other college campuses across the country over alleged incidents of anti-Semitism and Islamophobia, one of the many reasons lawmakers are calling to end hate.
The time for solidarity must be now.
I'm Jen Sullivan reporting.
Veterans wearing a military uniform is just the start of a lifetime of service. In this week's Faces of Fort Cavazos, Adam Schindler introduces us to a man who has been serving his country and community for nearly 70 years.
Say hello to Guadalupe Lopez, retired Sergeant Major in the U.S. Army and this year's Fort Cavazos Retiree of the Year. His story begins 85 years ago in Laredo, Texas.
It was right after the Depression and then the start of World War II. So I had some experience of what our nation went through during the war.
So what inspired you to join the Army?
My father was working for the Teamsters at that time, and the Teamsters has gone on strike. And he was on strike for 2 years, so at that time I decided to help the family of 5.
His father told him he was 17, but
I was 16.
That was 1954, and he served until he retired as a sergeant major in 1980. He has been serving his community ever since.
Because my husband is a soldier for life. He's a very dedicated retiree that helps the community as much as he can.
He was integral in bringing the Memorial Day ceremony to the Central Texas State Veterans Cemetery and has run the Killeen Veterans Day Parade for the past 2 decades. That doesn't even scratch the surface. So he is now the Fort Cavazos Retiree of the Year.
What'd you think of that when they told you you were going to be the Retiree of the Year?
Well, you know, every year they select somebody, and I guess it was my turn since I'm retired from that organization. So I guess they've seen everything that I have done.
Everything in the name of service.
I need to. I need to stay abreast of what's going on, and I need to help them. I will help He's 7.
Guadalupe Lopez has served his country and his community for 7 decades. And what I've told you here is a fraction of what he has done and continues to do. He has no plans of stopping anytime soon. I'm Adam Schindler, and this is Faces of Fort Cavazos.